let's review homework help video. So let's go through and try to do one from each section. Writing inequalities. So the first step for writing an inequality is just pick a variable. I always pick x. Then you just write the number that your dot is on and put it over to the right. Now we've got to face our inequality in the middle here so that we get the features of this graph. Look at the end of the arrow. It looks kind of like an arrow pointing to the left. So we actually match that with this here. And then we just decide, do I want to put a line under it or not? This is an open circle, so I don't want the line under it. So we get x is less than 2. All right, for a one-step inequality, we just have to isolate our variable. So I'm going to do problem number 4. Actually, I'll do them both because they both got something different. So to get rid of this minus 19, I add 19 to both sides. I get negative 3 is less than x. But I don't like my variable to be on the right. I want to flip this around, make it x is greater than negative 3. Notice there my inequality flipped when I flipped it around. The alligator wants to eat the x wherever it goes. Now for number 4, this negative 16 is multiplying the p, so I got to divide both sides by negative 16. But in this step, I just divided by a negative number, so I need to remember to flip my inequality here as well. And I believe that goes in 6 times. All right. Solve and then graph. All right, let's look at number 5. I got 140 is less than negative 20n. Divide both sides by negative 20. Need to remember to flip the direction of my inequality symbol here and then flip it again as I bring the variable back to the left. That's my algebraic solution. To graph this, I'm going to put an open circle at 7, arrow going to the left. All right, two-step inequalities. So the entire side is being divided by 2. So at the beginning, I'm going to multiply the whole side by 2. Same to the other side. And I get v minus 2 is greater than 6. Now finish isolating the variable by adding 2 to both sides. And I get that v is greater than 8. An algebraic solution is sufficient for that. You can graph it if you want. All right, solve and graph a two-step. All right, so let's copy this one down with some space. 91 is less than or equal to 7 times b plus 10. All right, first thing we want to deal with are the grouping symbols. So let's distribute the 7 in there. And we get 91 is less than or equal to 7b plus 70. Now we got constants on both sides. Let's move that away by subtracting 70 from both sides. We get 21 is less than or equal to 7b. Divide both sides by 7. That's a positive number, so no need to flip the inequality. We get 3 is less than or equal to b. But now let's flip it around so that the variable's on the left-hand side. And now we can graph it by putting a closed dot at 3, arrow going to the right. All right, multi-step. Number 12 looks challenging. First thing we deal with are our grouping symbols. We can't simplify inside, so we're going to simplify by distributing in the 5. Negative 142 is greater than or equal to 15v minus 30 minus 7. We got some like terms that we can combine, so negative 142 is greater than or equal to 15v minus 37. Constants on both sides, I want to move away from the variable. I do that by adding 37 to both sides. Now I get negative 105 is greater than or equal to 15v. Divide both sides by 15. And this, I believe, is 7. So negative 7 is greater than or equal to v. Switch it around, v is less than or equal to negative 7. All right, solving and graphing, multi-steps. Let's do, I guess, problem 13, offering something a little bit different. Now I'll do 14 because I can see I'm going to need to flip my sign, so let's just rehearse that a little bit. 173 is greater than or equal to 4 times negative 6v plus 2 minus 3. Distribute in the 4 to get rid of our grouping symbols. 173 is greater than or equal to negative 24v plus 8 minus 3. Combine your like terms. 173 is greater than or equal to negative 24 plus 5. Read my v there. Subtract 5 from both sides. 168 is greater than or equal to negative 24v. Just copy that over here. Now to get rid of the negative 24, you got to divide both sides by negative 24. We just divided by a negative, so let's make sure we flip our inequality. I got to do this in my calculator. 168 divided by 24 gets me a negative 7. Positive divided by negative, always negative. Negative 7 is less than or equal to v. Switch that around. V is greater than or equal to negative 7. So closed dot at negative 7, arrow going to the right. All right, let's see. We got some multi-steps that are self-proclaimed as being difficult. Let's try number 15. I distribute in the 2. 2b plus 2 is less than negative 30 minus 2b. Variables on both sides, I want to move the smaller one, so I add 2b to both sides. I get 4b plus 2 is less than negative 30. Take 2 away from both sides. I'm going to get 4b is less than negative 32. Divide both sides by 4. And I get that b is less than negative 8. Problems with no solutions. So let's try 17 and see what we get. Or all real numbers as solutions. So the negative b and the positive b, they cancel each other out. So I'm left with 5 is greater than or equal to 6. Is this true? Well, the alligator's eating the wrong number, so this is a no solution. There's a good chance that 18 is in all real numbers, but you're going to have to try it to find out. All right, one step and inequalities. So what we do with these is we just graph them separately, and if they connect, then we turn that into a line segment. If they don't connect, then it's a no solution. So I got 8x is greater than or equal to 32. Divide both sides by 8. Get x is greater than or equal to 4. So that's one of my solutions. X plus 8 is less than or equal to 16. Take 8 away from both sides. We get x is less than or equal to 8. That's my other solution. Now let's try to graph it. So close dot at 4. Arrow going to the right, but I don't finish it. Close dot at 8. Arrow going to the left. Now if I look, they're going to connect up to make a line segment, as we know most AND types do. Let's look at problem number 20. So with that repeated term in the middle, we can work with inverse operations here, but if I want to subtract 8, I have to do it from all 3 sides of this now. So now 1 is less than n is less than 2. Open dot at 1, open dot at 2, line segment in between. Open dots because we don't have that or equal to part. All right, two-step and inequalities. So copy it down with some space. All right, I'll just solve this first one. 10r is greater than or equal to negative 90. Divide both sides by 10. Do not flip the inequality because the step is still positive. All right, and then 10r minus 1 is less than 39. And 1 of both sides. 10r is less than 40 divided by 10. Again, no need to flip the inequality. We just get r is less than 4. So close dot at negative 9, arrow coming this way. Open dot at 4, arrow going this way. They do connect to make a line segment. All right, we got an OR inequality here. So these ones normally diverge, but we keep both lines. So let's try 23. We get r plus 10 is greater than or equal to 18. Subtract 10 from both sides. R is greater than or equal to 8. R minus 9 is less than or equal to negative 10. Add 9 to both sides. R is less than or equal to negative 1. So we'll just graph these. Close dot at 8 going to the right. Close dot at negative 1. Arrow going to the left. They diverge, but that's okay for OR type compound inequalities. All right, let's look at 26 next. Copy down some space. All right, and we just want to, again, isolate our variable. So add 10, we get 2x greater than 18, divide by 2, divide by 2, x is greater than 9, or add 8, negative 10x is greater than 0, divide by negative 10. In this step, I just divided by a negative number, so flip the inequality to get x is less than 0. So open dot at 0, arrow going this way, open dot at 9, arrow going this way. They do diverge. All right, time to put it all together with absolute value inequalities. All right, so what we want to do is split the absolute value into the positive and negative case once we've got it isolated. So with 27, I make this just x is greater than 7 and negative parentheses x is greater than 7. This one's already done. This one here, we divide by negative 1. We divide by negative 1. X is less than negative 7. The sign flips. Let's graph these both. We don't know whether we should put and or in between until we see if they connect up or if they diverge. So greater than 7, open dot at 7, arrow going this way. Less than negative 7, open dot at negative 7, arrow going this way. These diverge, so it's an or type inequality. All right, let's see, we got some operations here. So again, we split it into the two cases. One case, we just drop the absolute values entirely. In the other case, they get replaced with a negative parentheses. All right, and then solve them both. Add 2, x is less than or equal to 5. 2 minus x is less than or equal to 3, minus 2 minus 2. Negative x is less than or equal to 1. Divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1. X is greater than or equal to negative 1. And I'm going to put a closed dot at 5, arrow starting to go to the left. Closed dot at negative 1, arrow starting to go to the right, but they connect up, so somewhere in between these, we're going to write the word and. All right, and now we've got a two-step absolute value. Let's do 32. So what I do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 9 at the very beginning so that I can isolate my absolute value brackets. So the absolute value of negative 5n is greater than 27. Now I can split it into the two cases. Negative 5n is greater than 27 and negative 5n is greater than 27. Divide both sides by negative 5. This is a fraction. That's okay. N is less than. I divided by a negative. I got to flip my inequality. This is negative 5.4-ish. And then over here, distribute the negative, this becomes a positive 5n is greater than 27. Divide both sides by 5. And I get that n is greater than 5.4. So put an open circle at negative 5.5. Just a little bit to that side, arrow going this way. Open circle at 5.5, arrow going this way. It's weird to me that they're both decimals. I want to double check that one. Yep, they're both fractions. It's just how that one worked out. All right, last one, multi-step compound inequality. We'll do 33 here. All right. Actually, 34 looks a little more challenging. All right, let's just copy it down some space. Let's move that 10 first. That's a nice and easy thing to do. We can add 10 to both sides. This negative stays behind, so negative absolute value 5 minus 2v is less than negative 15. Divide both sides by negative 1 to get rid of that negative, and the sign here flips for the first time. This is an interesting problem because it's going to flip again here in just a second. All right, now we split it into the two cases. So 5 minus 2v is greater than 15, and negative parentheses 5 minus 2v is greater than 15. Subtract 5 from both sides. Negative 2v is greater than 10. Divide by negative 2. Here it flips again. V is less than negative 5. Sign flipped again. Over here, negative 5 plus 2v is greater than 15. Add 5 to both sides. We get 2v is greater than 20. Divide both sides by 2. We get v is greater than 10. No need to flip anything there. So less than negative 5, greater than 10. I know this is going to be an OR. Let's just go graph it now. Less than negative 5, greater than 10. Those are both open dots. And that's the end of our video here. All right, have a good rest of your day.